Google's inexpensive new Android phones mean the company has a real chance at transforming the wireless industry, something it attempted to do nearly 4 years ago with the Nexus 1. In October, the company released the Nexus 5, a top-end phone built by LG that is a remarkably low price of $349 for the 16GB model, and that's unlocked and with no contract. On Wednesday, Google announced the Moto G, which costs $179 for an 8GB model, also unlocked and off contract. An unlocked off-contract phone can be moved from one carrier to another simply by buying a new SIM card, effectively avoiding the typical 2-year contracts that network operators love. For the carriers, the contracts cut down on customer churn, but to consumers they mean big barriers for anyone who's dissatisfied with network coverage or other factors. For example, if one carrier introduces a competitive new plan, contract termination fees will likely make a person think twice about switching. In a world where people buy unlocked devices, smartphones become more like PCs. You pay up front and then do what you want. Customers can switch phones more easily, for example, so if you like the latest and greatest, it's easy to sell your used phone whenever you want. Now, Google did try to shake things up in 2010 with the Nexus 1, which the company sold directly to customers for $529. But the Nexus 1 vision flopped when carriers like Verizon and Vodafone didn't agree to take it, among other troubles. A few years later, and one $12.5 billion acquisition to Motorola Mobility, Google finally has a chance to do what it wants to do. The prices it charges for its new phones are getting close to the subsidized prices that most customers encounter when buying phones, initial prices that might look good, but don't factor in 24 months of payments made as part of a network service subscription. Now, this was first demoed with the Nexus 4, whose price plummeted, but only after it had lost some of its initial luster, and the pure Android versions of the HTC One and Galaxy S4 at $600 and $650 respectively are too expensive to really do anything much. But Google evidently wanted to see lower handset prices, and of course it can effectively subsidize phones through its online services. Google makes money through ads on services such as Search, Maps, and YouTube, and it offers subscriptions for music and Google Apps, a big part of Android's thing about increasing usage for such services, so it has a good way to justify lower prices. As Motorola pointed out, you could buy 4 Moto G phones for the same price as Samsung's flagship Galaxy S4. Now, the Moto G is clearly a budget model, and it doesn't support 4G LTE, but even without that, these specs mean that Google is selling modern, useful phones, a strong contrast to today's budget options, that are selling at a competitive price to high-end smartphones now. Up until now, customers' choice has essentially been to buy cheap phones with last year's technology, or a phone that was several years old if they're not willing to spend that much money. Now, there are still plenty of hurdles in the way for Google's vision, and one of them is the wireless spectrum. For example, different carriers bid for different wireless frequencies, and a particular phone may not work on another network. For example, the Nexus 5 does not work on Verizon. Last, Motorola has been on a drag on Google's earnings, and the Moto and Nexus products complicate the company's relationships with handset makers, and that means the business case for Google can't be a slam dunk. But Google isn't demanding an overnight revolution, and its new prices show it's willing to take a very un-Apple-like approach when it comes to handset profit margins. With the Moto and Nexus brands now offering competitive pricing, Google is showing that it may have what it takes to reshape the mobile market. Let me know whether you'd like to see Google transform the wireless industry in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!